Hello everyone, I'm Jensen. I'm going to be hopping on here throughout the night with election coverage. So if you're not already subscribed to our channel, I'm going to need you to go ahead and do that right now. You'll get an alert to your phone whenever I pop on here with new updates. I promise I won't be that annoying. But let's take a look here now that polls are officially closed in Ohio and Michigan. 4 states already have projected winners for the presidential race: Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, and Vermont. Again, these are just projections. I want to make that clear. None of these will be certified until much later. And we have 2 projected results from Ohio. So I'm going to get to those in a little bit and also explain how these projections are made. But first, I want to talk a little bit about when results are official. I do have a video on this that I did yesterday, and I'll link to that too when I'm done here. But let's talk a little bit about some key dates in Ohio specifically. So, after all of the votes are counted, including provisional ballots, Ohio has until November 18th to finish its canvass. So, these elections, these votes need to be canvassed, which essentially just means that local elections officials prepare and report the results to the state, and then the state does its own canvass. And again, this year, Ohio has until November 18th to finish that. So once that's complete, they send it to Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose, and he certifies those results. And it's that certification that actually gives the authority to the office holder to get sworn in. So it's an important step. And LaRose has to certify those results by November 28th. So once they are certified, if a candidate wants to request a recount, they have to do that by December 3rd. And a recount could also be automatically triggered if the difference in votes is a margin of 0.25% or closer. So they might not even have to call it if it's that close. So that recount would need to be done by December 8th, because just 6 days later, on December 14th, that's when the Electoral College meets. And then finally on January 6th, Congress gets together, they count the electoral votes, and then they give the results of that. So what if an election is contested? Again, each state kind of has their own process for this thing, but I'm going to explain what happens in Ohio at least. So if a candidate wants to contest the election, it just means they're challenging it legally. So here in the Buckeye State, a candidate has to file a petition within 15 days of the results being officially announced, or if there was a recount, they have to file that petition 10 days after the recount results are announced. So after that happens, they would have to have a hearing, and that would need to take place 15 to 30 days after they filed that petition. And then after that, court would have to adjourn no more than 30 days after the initial hearing. So that's how that would work in Ohio if the election was contested. But let's shift focus here to some of those projections that are already out. So the Associated Press has President Donald J. Trump as the projected winner in Kentucky and West Virginia, and former VP Joe Biden as the projected winner in Vermont and Virginia. Democrat Marcy Kaptur projected to win the re-election to U.S. House in Ohio's 9th Congressional District, and Republican Bob Latta wins the re-election to U.S. House in Ohio's 5th Congressional District, and this is all the projection put out by the Associated Press. Now, I'm going to take a pause here and see if I see any comments coming in. Bring it up on my screen. Let's check. All right. I'm not seeing the live stream popping up here, but I'm just going to keep going then. So I want to remind you all that election results tonight are unofficial and uncertified, as they are in every election. That is nothing new, as I just went through that process with you all. So here's some behind the scenes. Here at WTOL, we go by the Associated Press when we put out those projected winners. So even though we are a CBS station and CBS puts out their projections, all these national outlets do that. We go specifically by the Associated Press. So that's how we do it. Let me tell you how the Associated Press gets their results in the first place, just to get that in your head a little bit. Probably help. If you didn't know, the Associated Press is an American nonprofit news agency, and for 170 years, analysts have been counting the nation's vote in real time, and that's what they're doing tonight. So how do they get that all done, and Why do we trust it? Well, shortly before polls close, roughly 4,000 stringers, who are essentially just temporary freelancers, show up at county election offices. And as officials begin to release results, the stringers phone in those raw vote totals to AP journalists and analysts across the country. So more than 800 vote entry clerks answer those calls, take down the tally, and enter the results into AP's election database. So since many states and counties display their results on their websites, we have that here. Some of those clerks monitor the websites and enter those results into the database that way as well. So the clerks who take the stringers' calls ask questions to make sure that the information they're getting is accurate. So questions might include whether there are any problems in the stringer's county and challenging the details if those results seem off, right? So as votes are entered, automated checks look for discrepancies or inconsistencies with the county's previous voting history. So, for example, if more voters are reported if more votes are reported being cast than there are even registered voters in the county, an alert pops up on the clerk's desk and summons a supervisor. So they work that out from there. So AP has a team of election research and quality control analysts who monitor and examine those results using statistical tools and their own research to make sure everything is accurate. And something to note, if AP can't definitively say a candidate has won, they don't just make a guess and toss it out there. For instance, they never called the Bush v. Gore election in 2000, which was famously contested, saying the margin in Florida was just too close to call. So they're not just going to toss out a result as their best guess. And again, I'm going to give you the races that they've currently called, which again are not certified, just to make that clear. But right now, AP has President Donald J. Trump as the projected winner in Kentucky and West Virginia, and former Vice President Joe Biden as the projected winner in Vermont and Virginia. Then Democrat Marcy Kaptur was the projected winner to re-election for the U.S. House in Ohio's 9th Congressional District, and Republican Bob Latta was re-elected to U.S. House in Ohio's 5th Congressional District. Again, that's all of AP's projections. So we'll have a ticker. I think it was on before I even hopped on, but we'll have it once I get off as well. With live updates here on YouTube when I'm not on. Plus, you can go to WTOL.com/elections for the latest updates. And I'll be back when there are some more results to share with you all. But that's it for now. I'll go and I'll check and see if I can answer any comments. I'm having trouble seeing it live, so I can't answer it live with you. But I'll go back. I'll see if you have any, and I'll try my best to respond. Again, you can also text us at 419-248-1100 if you have any questions or if you saw something strange at the polls. We want to know about it. We want to hear about it. So consider that, and we will be on air at 11 o'clock tonight, so you can check out our coverage there as well. But with all of that, enjoy the rest of your night, and I will see you in a little bit.